Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's Sunday afternoon. It is the time to do sort of a mashup. I am not going to be able to do this tonight, so I was like, well, I'm going to just do it this afternoon, and we'll cover a bunch of different topics that we normally would have covered this evening, and we'll get it done right now. So welcome. I hope you guys are having a good afternoon. Whew. It has been a long sort of weekend. I haven't done any new uploads in a while, so we've been mostly doing just these live streams as I've been taking a little bit of a break from doing the editing stuff since that takes a little bit longer, but I hope you guys are having a good day. Welcome, everyone. We've done a few longer live streams the last few nights. If you haven't seen last night's live stream, that was actually a ton of fun. We talked about a lot of different topics, including cancel culture and has it gone too far, and just sort of talking through a lot of people's different feelings about canceling various people online. We had a panel discussion, so subscribers and creators actually joined in on the dialogue, and it was, I thought, a very productive conversation. Hello, everyone in the chat. So some of the topics that one of the topics that came up last night was in regards to the Duggars. And I was like, well, let's cover that in this mashup. We're also going to talk about today a Braunwyn. I know it's not typical that we cover the Real Housewives of New Jersey, of the OC, but there's an interesting story out of the OC group because Braunwyn Windham-Burke, who is she's a newer cast member. She joined last season. She actually came out as a lesbian like last month, I believe. And she did a Q&A on Instagram, and she answered some questions which were a little bit confusing. And I thought, like, let's just talk about some of the confusion she's feeling because she's still married to her husband. And she discussed whether or not her husband could date and how she would feel about it. And we're also going to talk about Hilaria Baldwin, whose dad, actually, an old blog was discovered. And he talks about his love for Spain. And so it seems as though his daughter's affinity for Spain is directly through her father. And then finally, we'll talk about uncancelable Trisha Paytas, who will be celebrating 14 years on the platform tomorrow. Can you believe it? All right, so let's start with the Duggars first. And this actually comes courtesy of Reddit. There was some Redditors that actually located this. So they had some, can you guys hear me? Can you hear me when I put that up and I'm not there? Or no? Okay. So here's what we've got. Hola. Okay. So the Duggars had probably, I don't know, 200 people at their house over on New Year's Eve, which is a lot. In the state of Arkansas, there is currently they're recommending that people not have more than 10 people over at their house at a time. And that everyone, if they do wear, yeah.
Are you fine if she is in here because I don't want her out there.
That's fine, honey bun. Okay, so the state of Arkansas has a requirement that you have no more than 10 people in your house at one time. And they say that if you're going to have people in the homes, that you have masks, that it be properly ventilated, and that people who are not exposed attend. But it doesn't appear as though the Duggars stood by and actually cared. That is packed. I mean, look at that. That is absolutely packed. Shoulder to shoulder. Nobody has masks on. And I don't know if that's just the camera. And then this is interesting because they have... Look at that. Shoulder to shoulder all the way down their patio of people. Stop. On their patio, just so many people doing off fireworks. And then here again. I mean, this is ridiculous how many people are in this house. There are so many people there. None of them are wearing masks. So obviously the people on Reddit who are notoriously critical of it's courtesy of the Duggar Snark channel on Instagram, or the Duggar Snark page on Instagram. They had a lot to say, to be honest. And I was actually like, this is what one person said. Let me just show you. They were talking about this, and it says that Arkansas went from being one of the states with the fewest cases to one of the biggest cases to population ratio. They are socializing with mega families who are likely also socializing with mega families. No way they haven't or will not get it. Irritates me that TLC did the whole charade on their show early in the pandemic where they were doing remote calls and making masks. Total lies. And then someone said, I'm not defending them, but I will say that personally think overall people took quarantine way more serious in the beginning than they do now. And then someone says, while it's true, we know from social media that they are still having big Monday night gatherings while pretending to do Zoom calls instead. So people are kind of saying that like TLC is really not playing into things correctly, or they're misconstruing, not happy with the way that TLC is obviously representing them. And then we have, I'm so torn between they have and have just kept it silent, or somehow they've managed to get this far unscathed. I feel like if they had it, they would want to boast about how God is good and protected them. Or the flip side, God is so good, he protected them from ever getting it. And they said, I think at least one of them has had to have had it, but maybe haven't tested. And they just think it's a cold. And other people said, my sister had COVID recently, one day of 100-degree fever and a runny nose for a week. That was it. So obviously there's a large difference between what some people get and what some people don't get in terms of symptoms. You know, there's, it ranges in severity, obviously, but the fact that they were so brazen, you know, like 200 people, like we've seen them sort of toe the line in terms of what they think is, you know, we've seen them do the Christmas party, the sweater party, but this one is huge. Like and you know, it's the interesting thing is I did not see this on any of their Instagrams. So when I was looking through their Instagrams, I didn't see photos of this from their specific Instagrams. I didn't see this on any of the girls' Instagrams. So I don't know if they were hoping to keep this quiet and then somebody shared it. And then that makes me wonder if somebody did share it, if they're going to get in trouble with Jim Bob, if they had an NDA. Because sometimes a lot of times with these, you know, events with the Duggars, they are so, you know, don't use your phones, don't do this, don't do that. They want to keep things under wraps. So the Duggars put out nothing about this. None of the girls put out anything. So it seems like they might have wanted to keep this hidden, which tells me that maybe they knew that it was wrong, or they knew that the public perception would be, why are you having X amount of people in your home during a pandemic and completely outside of, you know, guidelines in the state of Arkansas? Arkansas, again, has told people not to have social gatherings, no more than 3 families at a time in a home, and limiting the overall gathering to 10 total people. We know the Duggars have way more than 10 people in their family, so that would be nearly impossible for them to, you know, speak with or have other families over in their home. But this is just so over the top, like they just seemingly don't care. And that kind of was followed by, I should post the, oh, hold on a second, guys. Todd, Frida needs to go outside. Okay, sorry. That was sort of followed by Ginger Duggar. She did this, like, people were kind of not happy with this recent post she put on Instagram. Oh, now we're yelling at the cat. Or not, we only met the dog. Okay. Frida needs to go outside. Okay, so Ginger was posting on her Instagram, and she made this post that a lot of people were not happy with. Again, I'm not here to have an opinion on it. I'll just show you what it said, because people thought it was kind of tone deaf, particularly on Reddit. That's where most of the staunchest criticism comes from, the Duggars. But this is what was posted. It says, many people have suffered more this year than they have ever before. Many have wept over the loss of a loved one. Countless have lost their source of income. Depression and anxiety running rampant as the future remains uncertain. I have been pondering the reality of what has been taking place this past year. I've been pondering the reality is what people didn't really like, the reality, when she said it that way. And it's a year that has shaken not only the US, but the entire world. How easy it is for us to place our confidence in health, finances, or even the government. I've been reminded more and more this past year of the truth of God's ultimate control over things. Who could have predicted at the beginning of 2020 that it would have unfolded the way it did? And yet none of that, what has taken place this past year, is a surprise to God. He is still in control. He is still on his throne. His promises are still true. And then she said, as Christians, we can rest in the reality that no matter what hardships God allows to come our way, he is working it together for our good and his glory. One truth that I want to consistently remind myself of this year is that regardless of the circumstances, he can have perfect peace because our hope in heaven. Now, people were on Reddit basically slamming her for this because they were like, you don't even wear masks. Like, you can't be bothered to wear a mask. And so you're just going to like sort of this idea that she is, giving all of her glory to God, yet not following guidelines to help keep people safe, and just sort of God is in control. And this has kind of been this idea that Jeremy has done a lot on his Instagram sermons or his like speeches. I don't know what they are. When he's reading the Bible, he's a pastor, but he often talks about how, the only cure for the virus is Jesus, and that Jesus will, save. And while for believers that may be true, the truth of the matter is that for most believers that believe in God, a lot of them believe that God also places science and medicine here, and so that you don't deny the science and the medicine to help you through specific illnesses. And so obviously following protocols would be very important. So people found it a little bit tone deaf because she seemed to be like, well, as long as you believe in God, God knew this was going to happen. Again, I don't necessarily think that the message as a whole was terrible. I think sometimes people are, as a whole, kind of critical of these girls, no matter what it is that they say. They do have a little bit of a issue with masks, for sure. They do go out quite a bit without masks, and they did a bunch of filming without masks. And that was the other thing that people were upset about, was that if she really cared about, all these issues that were happening in the world, why did she fly her mom to Los Angeles in the middle of a pandemic so that she could have a baby when she had her baby, yada, yada, yada. And they didn't follow protocols. Again, those were the criticisms from staunch Duggar critics. I'm not sure what you guys think about that. What I will say is that I'm not at all, okay, I'm actually kind of surprised about the New Year's Eve party. I'm not going to lie. I am surprised at how brazen this is because of the restrictions in the state of Arkansas. And I'm also kind of surprised that they hid it. So the question here is like, why didn't they post these pictures? Why didn't they post anything about this party? What were they trying to hide? Were they hoping that this wouldn't come out? They obviously knew enough and well enough that the public would not be happy with this if this got leaked enough to not share any photos. And we know that the Duggars are very big about sharing photos of all of their celebrations. So the fact that they completely omitted this from their social media is a little bit telling to me that you didn't want people to know what you were doing, and you knew that this would not be a good look, but you did it anyway. Again, I don't know what, I'm at this point, frankly, shocked that not any one of these Duggars has tested positive, or maybe if they have, they will just not acknowledge it, or maybe they just haven't tested. It's so hard to know. Not sure how you guys are feeling in the chat. You are free to share your opinions. On the next topic, so that's what we're talking, that's the end of that. Now on the next topic is an interesting one, because with the housewives. So the housewives, we have seen first of all, there was a shakeup with this cast, and I'll be honest, I didn't really watch this season. I watched it last season, but I did not watch it this season. Tamara and Vicky were no longer on this season, and Braunwyn had come in, and she was sort of this like answer to some of the issues. But Braunwyn seems to have either lovers or haters. People either really like her authenticness, like her authentic self, the fact that she is so willing to be open about who she is, but then also other people think that she's hypocritical and she is selfish and she's all these kinds of things. This past season, she came out and said that she was not only, she talked about her sobriety, so she became sober. So she admitted on camera that she was a recovering alcoholic and that she was going to be going through like this doing meetings and all of the different steps, and that through her getting sober, one of the things that she had to sort of address was one of the reasons why she felt that she had drank so much, and that was what she said was the fact that she had been sort of suppressing her sexuality. And so sorry. Dog emergency again. Okay. Everything is fine. My son is fine. Don't worry. Okay. So we're just yelling at the dogs. Okay. So one of the things that came up was that she was, came out as a lesbian. And so she actually has a girlfriend, right? And so over this specific, she hosted a Q&A, and I actually missed the Q&A. But the son grabbed some of the screenshots, which I thought was interesting. And she talked about how whether or not she would be okay if her husband dated. So in the middle of all of this, she has a girlfriend named Chris. So she gets sober and she gets honest about her sexuality. She comes out as a lesbian. She says that she is not attracted to men, but she also at the same breath in her interview with GLAAD says that she is not planning on divorcing her husband, Sean. And obviously that has left some fans a little bit confused because they're like, well, why aren't you going to split up? This doesn't make sense. So they said, like, is Sean eventually going to be able to date other people? And she said that, is Sean eventually going to date other people? And Sean said, I don't know, probably. I don't know when, though, leaving Braunwyn to chime in and say it's hard to date in a pandemic. And then another question came in was, is Sean hurt with you having a girlfriend? And he said, yes. Yeah. And he said, yeah, it kind of sucks. This is hard figuring out, but yeah, it's sad. And then another question came in. Do you feel it's hypocritical that you have a girlfriend but don't want Sean to? And she said, yes, absolutely. That's why we're in therapy. We are working through this. We can't figure this out on our own. This is a lot. We are a little crazy, but no, this is hard and we are working it out. So she was basically saying that she would not, she doesn't want him to date, but she also says that she knows that that's hypocritical. And she said that if he does date, she would be heartbroken. So when asked about, their relationship, she said, like, I would be heartbroken if he had a girlfriend. So they're going to go into therapy, and I guess they're sort of working this through in therapy, but here's my thing is that if she wants I feel like she's maybe stuck in this place of still struggling with her identity, or maybe struggling with what this means for her family, because she and Sean, there's 7 kids involved, and they have been together for a very long time. And they have had this like very, they're really just, even though she says she's not attracted to him, she describes him as her best friend. But I can't imagine how in the long run, this would be a good thing for Sean. I can understand her not wanting to let go of that, but at the same time, as though she is going to be authentically herself, wouldn't, in my opinion, the right thing to do be allow him to be himself and be free and just go along their way? It could just be like they're having a hard time separating and really coming to terms with what this means for the family. Yeah. And It's going to be messy. Exactly. Like this is the husband. It's her husband. It's the father of her children. They've been together for a very long time. It's going to be hard for them to separate. But Kevin says, surely she can't expect him to be committed to her. And that too is, again, like sort of a double standard here. She has a girlfriend that she's been dating for several weeks or several months that she includes in her family. So that part of it is going to be hard. So again, I don't know how they're going to make this work. I think that there's probably this aspect. They have young kids still. And I think their youngest are like still pretty young, under 7. I think they have like a 2-year-old even. Like they have young kids. They have old kids and young kids. There's like a lot of kids. And those young kids, I think it's that idea of not wanting to break the family up. But I feel like, you know, if they still have this mutual respect and love for each other, they should be able to amicably separate and still be good co-parents. Maybe it's the idea of not wanting to live in separate homes. She did say that they aren't sleeping in the same bedroom. They have separate rooms right now. So I'm not sure. I think this would be hard. They will work out what works for them. Family dynamics have changed this day. That's correct. Rebecca says she shouldn't have her cake and eat it too, but it seems like he cares about her an awful lot, probably more than she cares about him, and he's allowing her to treat him very poorly. So Rebecca feels like she is not, he's not getting the respect he's deserves. And, you know, maybe they could stay in a home where they're, you know, living in separate rooms, but at the same time, you have to feel for them. I'm sure this is not easy territory. She wants to stay married, but I don't know how that would be feasible, honestly. I mean, again, that's her life. It's not mine. So you guys can discuss how you feel about that. No matter what, the kids are in the middle of this, and no matter what, I hope that the family can do the right thing for not only themselves, but for their kids, and just make sure that the kids don't somehow become collateral damage to the messiness that's happening here, and that they can keep things amicable. All right. So next topic we are going to go on to is Hilaria. So Hilaria, or Hillary Baldwin, she was in the news, I don't know, earlier last week. A story broke that she had been faking her Spanish heritage, and that she was not actually a Spaniard. She was a white girl from Boston. So when people figured out that she was not from Spain, this whole Twitter expose happens, and all of these details are uncovered that she is actually from the United States, born in Boston, went to high school, went to school in Boston, did not live in Spain, traveled to Spain, visited Spain. Her dad has a love for Spain, but she is not Spanish, nor is her mother Spanish, despite the fact that she, you know, had been very elusive in interviews talking about how, you know, she was from Spain, how she came to the United States when she was 19 years old, and very, like, not very clear about, you know, what she was feeling about things, or how she was feeling about things, or how she was, where she, it's all just a mess. And so when she did multiple interviews with Hola magazine, which is a Spanish speaking magazine that covers culture for not only Latin America, but also Spain. And it does a lot of like celebrity lifestyle stuff. And she was on the cover of their magazine twice, being represented as a Spaniard. And she claimed that she had no idea that they were going to say that she was from Spain. Okay, well, an old blog that her father wrote back in 2015 has been discovered, and it actually talks about where his love from Spain came from. So this is about food relationships slowing down to enjoy both. And it's from International Integrators. And so it basically says, I grew up with a Midwestern family that relocated to the East Coast of the United States when I was still an infant. My mother was a dietitian by training, and we ate as most American families did in the 1950s. Meat, potatoes, and well-cooked vegetables were our staples, all piled on the same plate, served at the same time. Whole milk was my usual beverage, while sometimes lingered in a bit at family meals, blah, blah, blah. He says, my path in life has been heavily influenced by the Spanish language and culture, and not because I had an iota of Latin blood in my veins. Now, the interesting thing is, he says Latin, he says Spanish language and culture, but not because I have an iota of Latin blood in my veins. So he is even vague here, because Latin blood would imply like the Latino, Latinx, Central America, Mexico, South America. It would be Hispanic veins or blood, but either way, he doesn't have any of that in his blood. He says, when I was in second grade, my father had to go to Argentina on business for 3 months, and my mother and sister and I spent that period in Nebraska with my mom's parents. While I have many fond memories of that visit to the state of my birth, I did miss my father, and he promised me that if I ever learned Spanish, he would take me to Argentina, and I tucked that one away and I let it incubate. So he says that they were not offered at his school system until 7th grade, and that he chose to study French in those days. But he said, I was a clever lad and knew that there was not a trip in French. So I started to study Spanish. And by the time I reached high school, I was quite fluent, thanks to incredibly talented teachers. And I was in the 10th grade. My father made good on his promise and took the whole family to Argentina, and then on to Chile and Peru. And I was hooked on Spanish. So he says he spent the summer in Mexico. He did a college program there. And he says that his Spanish vocabulary, his Spanish vocabulary of female body parts increased dramatically. That's weird. Okay. And then between high school and he goes to, he studies in Stockholm, and he finds his way to Spain at the end of the experience. He travels to, on a pass of the trains, and he does 3 weeks. He observes all these different things. He loves the food of Spain, all these similarities between their food of Spain and Mexico. He says he goes back in 1970. And then he sort of now says that now, as an adult, we have sort of retired there. So I was supposed to be taking courses at the University of Madrid, but this was the Franco era of the internal strife, and the university was on strike during the entire 3 months that I was there. In any event, I probably learned more having time spent with the Spanish families that I ever could have learned in the classroom. So that was, he says, in 1970, he goes and he studies in Spain. So now he says he basically lives in Spain, and it's all about eating. So he lives in Mallorca now, obviously. And here's the ironic part, is that according to neighbors that live in Boston, in the home that Hillary grew up in with her brother Jeremy, the family lived in this really like affluent part of Boston, in like a $4 million brown house, or townhouse, the brick ones that are like in that area of Boston. I don't even know what they're called. Anyways, the row houses that are in Boston, they had one that was like $4 million, and it had, it was white, and it had neighbors that were there. And all of her neighbors basically said she lived there. They didn't travel there frequently. She went to all of her school in the United States. They said that Jeremy, actually, her brother, Brownstone, thank you. Jeremy, her brother, but I don't think they're brownstones. I think they're row houses. Jeremy, her brother, went to Mallorca, and he spent some time while he was in like high school or college for an exchange, but he came back, and they said that was sort of the time when the family kind of made this decision to potentially move. And so Jeremy moved to Spain, and he actually has a wife there and a daughter or son. He has one child with his wife. And then his parents made the decision to move to Spain to be where Jeremy was when they retired, which was after Hillary was 27 years old. And Hillary says that she moved from Boston to New York when she was 19 years old. And she said she's lived in Boston or in New York ever since. So she graduated high school in the United States. She's been in New York since she's been 19, 2003, I think they said. And she has not been in Spain other than visiting. She's never lived there. It's not known if she ever studied abroad there, but she was enamored with the Spanish culture, but for sure was not from Spain. and doesn't have this, like, she wouldn't even answer basic questions about whether or not she was like, how often she was there. So obviously, the families, like Alex's brother, Billy, and China Phillips, they spoke to the tabloids about what's going on. And they said that it's an awkward and embarrassing time. And China Phillips basically said, you know, she's a really good person. Everyone makes mistakes. I feel really bad for her. And that they're just sort of hiding out right now in the Hamptons. So that's what's going on with Hillary. And the paparazzi were obviously following her in the Hamptons. And she was out walking with her children and Alec, and they spotted them, and she looked upset. So obviously, when you sort of fake your whole identity, your whole adult life, and on Instagram and, you know, using your platform in that way, you're going to get some level of pushback. So that is, what are we still thinking about this whole story? Is it still as ridiculous as we thought? Is the, and she's actually listed as one of the celebrities that's been canceled. So I was looking at, the interesting thing is that I was looking at some articles about like who was canceled this year, and they talked about Ellen DeGeneres, but they said that Hillary was also canceled. So I don't know if she's fully canceled or not. I really haven't made that determination. So she acquired the accent that reminds me of some of Lindsay Lohan's. Right, right. At least they're admitting something to be embarrassed about. Right. All right. Now, finally, we have got Miss Trisha Paytas. Now, this is interesting, you guys. I was thinking about this. Trisha and Moses are engaged now. She is going to be getting married this year. She's been dating him since, I don't even know, sometime in the middle of last year. They've been together less than a year total. But she posted a video on her channel, and it was basically her 14-year anniversary. And I'll just pop it up here. And she basically talked about how she's not cancelable, which I thought was ironic because we had this conversation last night. And it's been 14 years since she posted her first video.
Other way but to get a Domino's pizza. And for the, I'll link below my first video. January 4th, 2007. 14 years ago, bitches. 14 years ago, bitches. Literally, all these TikTok, oh my god, all these TikTokers are literally people like, oh my god, you're 32 coming for 62. I want to see where all these influencers are when they're 32.
Now, it is pretty incredible if you think about it, that she's been on YouTube for 14 years. And, well, I think anyone, if you go onto her Twitter, you can see it. It's pretty much everywhere. Is it possible to have your channel with captions? There are captions on replays. So during live streams, there are not like, the captions have to do like the full, there aren't live captions. So I have captions on for the replays. So they are available. Thank you. I love you too. But the captions are on. So because I don't know what I'm going to say, I can't like necessarily have the captions live, but the captions are on and they're on the replay. I just think that they take longer to load after the fact.
People outgrow their audiences and fan bases all the time. If you've been with me since last year, 2 years ago, 14 years ago, January 3rd, I want to know who watched that. Who gave me my first 60 views? I remember I got 60 views on that video.
60 views. It's 14 years today, I guess.
OG media. YouTube is the OG influencer. I embrace TikTok. I embrace all these other platforms. I love it. OnlyFans. Oh.
I gotta find the part where she actually talks about being canceled.
And she was seeing my ups, my downs, and help me expose asshole boyfriend. and help y'all help me expose actual boyfriends. Y'all know, oh, shut up. You guys come for me. If you see anything suspicious, you call out. You know what? I appreciate it. But they're brand stack through this pizza. 2020 was my year to thrive because we need food award. And you're welcome for my presents.
She eats.
To bring me my fiance.
Oh.
And she was through my ups, my downs, and helped me expose. 2 years ago, 14 years ago, January 3rd. I want to know who watched that. Who gave me my first 60 views? I remember I got 60 views on that video. In like a month, and I was like, what? YouTube showed me the way. They gave me the possibility. I want to meet Quentin Tarantino. Should I make videos about Quentin Tarantino?
She loves Domino's Pizza, which I still think is so funny. You know, she's become a millionaire from being on YouTube, and she has all of this money, and she, she's eating with a full bite. I know. If nothing, she's honest, right? So, you know, she talks about how, you know, she's been on this platform for 14 years, and that, you know, she said, I'm like, no one can cancel me because I'm not going to like leave the platform. The only way that you can be canceled is like if you decide to leave. And then she talked about some YouTubers that have left the platform and have made the decision to leave themselves, and really just said, you know, talked so much about just her time on YouTube, which I thought was interesting because it's like we were just talking about last night about how people are, you can't really cancel someone. You can't force them off the platform if they don't want to go unless they've done something like terrible, which is basically what she said is like, you can't cancel me because I haven't committed any crimes. I haven't done anything terrible. You can't cancel me and get me off this platform because I'm not doing anything wrong, or, you know what I mean? Like in her context. So congratulations, I guess, on 14 years with Trisha. If you're a fan, if you're not, that's longevity, man, though. That's longevity. So what do you think about 14 years of Trisha? You can't even understand what she's saying. You get so jealous when they eat pizza. I know. It looks so good. Who's the one guy that lied about Shane? Who lied about Shane? I don't know. Some people do get canceled, like if they do really horrific things, but... And do you think Shane will come back? I think Shane will come back. I think Shane will come back, even though I don't know. Will I do more videos on Jill Rodriguez in the future? She put her Instagram on private. I don't have like her videos, so I don't follow her on Instagram. I thought she got rid of her Instagram. Thank you so much for your super chat though, Ashley. But I can look into it. I haven't really noticed what's been going on. You lost your feel for Shane. Yeah, some people did. I wonder what happened with her and John Hill. I know didn't she have a boyfriend that she was like dating, but he was gay? And it was like, the whole thing was like a lie. Wasn't that one thing that she did? Like they trolled a relationship and he was actually gay, or did she not know that he was gay? And then there was this whole drama, like, I just found out that my boyfriend is with somebody else, or, you know, he's gay. Wasn't that was like a whole drama with her. Kennedy, and he got cancer. Oh, Sanders Kennedy. Oh. So yeah, Sanders Kennedy, I don't know that he necessarily got like canceled per se. He just hasn't uploaded anything on YouTube since everything happened. So like if he wanted to come back, I don't think there's anything stopping him. He just hasn't uploaded anything. But yeah, he created a story where he reported him to the police, and then it was a mess. All right. So that's what we have for today's mishmash. And it's, yeah, Sanders Kennedy. He hasn't uploaded anything since I think July. John is Jacqueline Hill's ex-husband. Oh, that's right. See, I don't really know a lot about the drama. I just remembered there was a guy that she was dating that was like, this whole like thing. And then everyone was saying that they faked their relationship for views. And if you go back into her channel and look at some of her older videos, thank you getting me through isolation day 7 of not having smell or taste. Oh, honey, I hope you're doing okay. I've got a couple of my subscribers that actually have COVID right now. So hope you guys are doing okay. Thank you for watching. Hope you feel better soon. All right. So that's what we have right now. Her videos are funny. Yeah, some of the older ones are pretty funny. She faked a relationship with Logan Paul. Oh, see, this is why when she got engaged to Moses, people thought that she wasn't being truthful. And you know, the funny thing is I watched this video and I said congratulations to her. And then of course people were just like, oh, don't drag her. Don't come in and go after Trisha. And I'm like, do you watch my channel? Because don't drag Trisha, actually. Do I always agree with her? No, but for the most part, people that watch my channel actually like Trisha. And so we kind of enjoy her content. All right, so Trisha, 14 years, congratulations. Here's to 14 more years. Now, do you think that they are going to televise their wedding? Do you think if she were to get pregnant, she would have the baby on YouTube? I feel like this marriage could open up a whole nother side. Is Trisha going to become like a family vlogger? Oh my goodness. Could you imagine Trisha Paytas' babies on YouTube? Like, I'm just trying to imagine like if she would keep this offline or if she would like how her channel would evolve. Like, could you imagine if she like turned her channel into like her family vibes? Like Trisha morphs from, you know, internet troll to like family vlogger. What if that happened? Like, what if that literally happened? She said that there's a low probability of her getting pregnant, but she still can try. And that's what she has said repeatedly. Like, she says that she doesn't think she can, but she says that they still try. And she doesn't because of some conditions that she has had in the past, but she said she can still try. So she has talked about that a lot. I mean, she has a video about how they have been trying to get pregnant. They've talked about on frenemies about how they're trying to get pregnant. So I think she has some issues with getting pregnant, but I don't know overall, like if she cannot have a baby at all. She would absolutely televise the wedding, the birth, the communion, the confirmation, the bar mitzvah, the child's wedding, and her. Maybe, yeah. Well, yeah, and Moses is Jewish. So, and I don't know if she's talked about her maybe converting to Judaism. So, and I would watch every single one. I know, right? I watch her eat pizza in her car. I mean, sometimes I'm like, why am I even watching this? But whatever. She just talks and I listen, and it's like her voice is soothing. All right. So that's all I've got for today, you guys. If you've got comments, questions, or concerns, make sure you leave them below. And thank you guys so much for being here today. And I am going to be, there has been a request for another tier of membership. And so I have requested a lower tiered membership of $199 a month. It is not yet approved, but a lower price point for people that just want to be in the chats. That's not $399. So I'm waiting on YouTube to approve that. And once the $199 option is available, you can become a member if you've been unable to at this point. And you'll be able to participate in chats and receive members' messages. So, all right, you guys, thanks for joining me. Bye.